Hoi there everyone! This is FatesFanboy speaking, and welcome back to Inazuma 11 GO Strikers. Episode 11. We have now passed the 10 episode mark following my birthday episode last weekend, in which we faced my favorite team and recruited, indirectly recruited my favorite character, Archer Hawkins. And speaking of that birthday episode, thank you very much first and foremost to the people who left birthday wishes for me. It really does go a long way for me, I have to say. So thank you once again from the bottom of my heart. And fun little thing about that episode, while I said in the recording that it would go up on my birthday, technically it didn't. I uploaded the video at 10 past midnight, so on the 22nd, due to some technical difficulties, which is quite saddening. But, you know, it was probably still the 21st somewhere in the world, so it doesn't bother me too much. Now, episode 11, today we are facing the International Allstars as scheduled, and as much as I would like to recruit a character as I usually do in these episodes, the reality of the matter is that we literally do not have enough points to pick up on anyone past, say, Alias Academy, maybe Dark Emperors. Well, I suppose we can make a start with one recruitment because on the last episode, Vinny the Trash actually left a comment asking we pick up on Nishigaki, or whatever this guy's name is in English. I believe it might be Knight. But regardless of what his English name is, they wanted for us to pick him up. They technically wanted his Kirkwood version and not the Dark Emperor's version, but seeing as we do not have enough points as of this moment, I will simply begin the request with recruiting his Dark Emperor's form, which unlocks his Kirkwood form in the first place. So, welcome aboard Nishigaki. Thank you for your request, Vinny, and we will be picking up on his Kirkwood version before long. As it happens, these two episodes are kind of close together, these two recordings, so I haven't had much time to really grind for points, so that also means we will not see any Dark Phoenix / Supernova / Space Penguin action just yet. Now, Nishigaki, very balanced player, as you can see, all C stats, so that means when he has the two blue bars filled, he will have access to A stats all around, and potentially some more in terms of invisible stats, as was explained in the last episode. But that version we do not have yet. Instead we have his Dark Emperor's version, which is still pretty decent. He has C in kick, body and control, which are all pretty decent stats for a... Oh, he's the defender, never mind. Scrap anything I said. No, he's still pretty alright. Control is a fairly handy stat to have for a defender. Now, nothing too great in the way of moves, but he does have Spinning Cut, which is a blocking move, so we can very much use that to our advantage. So that means we will have to give someone the boot in this episode. I'm going to briefly take out Hill Valley in favor of Knight. We will be switching Hill Valley back in due course, but for the time being we are going to give Knight some time in the limelight. Alright, so then the situation is as follows. We will have Knight on the midfield, and considering we've had Aphrodite and Whittingale on the field for quite a while now, I think I'm going to switch up our front line here to instead promote some different characters. I'm going to put in Neil, and I'm going to put in Sanford, his Inazuma National version, which we picked up last episode, who I was actually told has his own benefits over his Royal Redux version. Apparently, according to Caleb Manphobic, who has been leaving very helpful comments as to the mechanics of this game, so thank you very much once more for that, Mr. Caleb. He notes that the Inazuma National Sanford has S-Kick and S-Body Dribbling, which I completely missed while recruiting him, but yes. He does have access to A, body and kick right now, so that does mean he will have access to the S level on those stats in due course, and the Royal one only has access to S kick, but apparently has faster charging time on his special moves. Both handy to have, but for the time being we are rocking out with this one, because no one has expressed any explicit interest in Royal Redux Sanford. So that's where we're at. This is the composition for this round, I do believe, and yeah, I think we're going to head back to Liocott Island right away, so we can face the International Allstars and pick up on a better version of Aphrodite. There we go! Once more back on Liocott Island. We've run into Edelgar a few times now, and now it's finally time to face off against him. Right, we've already quickly done this team prep stuff. One thing I would like to point out, if you have played the first Strikers game, you will know roughly the composition of the International All-Stars, but I do have to note that it has changed quite a bit, actually, because they've now included Akuto and also some guys from... what's their name again? I don't recall their name, but they're the team led by Minion, this guy. And this is where my Japanese names really start to lack, because I don't know the Japanese names for these 4 guys. But the rest I'm pretty confident about. But yeah, they put in these guys in favor of the guys from Italy, obviously, so Bianchi in particular. And then also, well, obviously the most glaring omission is Rococo, or Hector Helio, as he's called in English, as a keeper for this team. They've instead got the keeper for whatever this team was again, due to a reason that we will find out about soon enough. But yeah, that's the situation. We have these 4 guys now in our way. Now, in terms of how threatening they are, I wouldn't dare say. I think Okuto is pretty decent, even though his stats don't quite show that right now. This team is honestly just pretty cool. They have all the International All-Stars, obviously. Kind of just the key players from all of the teams. They've benched Afrodi, which I find very interesting. And they've also taken out Khalil in favor of Minion, it looks like. But anyway, that is what we're up against. And I suppose with that being said, we can start off the match. Once again back in the Titanic Stadium, where we also faced Orpheus, Italy's team. And yeah, I hope this is going to be a good match. I have been looking forward to this one. And there's the... how do I even describe this music? Kind of noble, I'd want to say. The noble theme of the International All-Stars. Now, yeah, you've really got all the star players on this team. You've got the guys from America, you've got Thiago Torres in the defense there, who is going to be quite difficult to get past if he does trigger his Iron Wall. And no, we're not going to start off with a lagging game, please, I'm begging. This should not be happening. But I do quite like this guy. Mainly due to this move, Big Spider. But I do have to note he's not quite as capable, not nearly as capable as Rococo. Because, well, obviously Rococo was, well, even a fair opponent against Mark, so that just goes to show how strong he is. And of course, Soul Hand, Tamashi the Hand is nothing to scoff at. So I do think we'll have a relatively easy time against this guy as opposed to Rococo. And yeah, Exhibit 1. Also, now that I hear his voice lines, it just kind of randomly popped into my mind. But I recently discovered that Steve has the same Japanese voice actor as the main character of The Great Ace Attorney, my favorite game, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I just found that interesting to see, you know? It's just weird to think that a voice actor like that could return in Inazuma 11, a relatively niche franchise. But yeah, I just loved discovering that, honestly. Right, we are blocked by Iron Wall, and the defender is not going to pull any punches. He is going to play safe, as he should, as he ought to, because I do predict that we'll be getting a few more goals in the long run of this game. Right, are getting passed by Super Elastico, which is quite alright, because he isn't going to be able to get anything off. I do wonder what dribble move this guy has. Ah, Dash Accelerator. Yeah, that makes sense, I suppose. Not surprised to see that. Now, one disservice I have done this team is not mention that they have quite a few code moves at their disposal as well, mainly because of some duos that they've included from across the international teams. Most notably, they have the America guys, obviously, who get Grand Fenrir together, and they also get the Icarus as a dribble move, though I don't think that is all too threatening. The most important thing is keeping those guys separated, obviously. I think our defense is strong enough to withstand any potential attacks, luckily. Now there's Akuto, who was a password character in the original game, with a very funny password, just like Jude, in the English version at least. I did like using him with his Emperor Penguin axe. I don't know how good he was realistically, but I think in this game he's pretty alright. Pretty alright. Alright, Neil getting his first action, getting off a Gungnir, which loses power less quickly when shot from any distance. Or not at all, I don't entirely know how this game works. But alas, it is stopped. So perhaps my prediction was a little bit too presumptuous. Okay, he completely missed, thank you Samford. That was a valiant effort, I suppose. Also interesting that they flipped the name from Samba Strike in English to Strike Samba in Japanese. We have our power ring, so I'm not going to take any risks. Because these strikers, they are definitely a worthy opponent. So, like I said, they have all the best strikers from across the teams, like Partinus or Valtinus, I don't really know. I'm just going to keep calling him Edgar, I think. Edgar. Okay, I want to pass to Kevin, so no one steals the ball. Okay, now I wasn't quite able to get the level 3 shot off, but this should be fine. He's probably not going to score, but that's quite alright. He does like going for Big Spider, and the reason for that is he actually doesn't have a level 2 keeper move, as opposed to Rococo, who does have God Hand Axe, I believe. This keeper only has a level 1 and level 3 move. He has the Killer Blade attack. I don't actually know what it's called. It's the one that Occult uses, the Occult Keeper, I believe. Very interesting to see that make a return. But yeah, I don't think this keeper is going to go for that unless we hit him with like a stray rolling kick or something. He's going to want to use Big Spider every time, ideally, because it is his strongest move. And he is actually stopping quite a lot. I might have given him too little credit. Which I tend to do. I never quite know how strong the opponents are in this story mode. Because the shields are only a vague indicator of their strength. Like, it doesn't take into account the actual move power, and then again the move power in itself is pretty vague. It's at least not very well described in this game. Okay, I want to get that back to Neil, ideally, because I do want to get off a Gungnir if I can, because the keeper was low. There we go. This might be the 2-0, hopefully. Again, we're not striving to go for any insane numbers like we did against Inazuma National. Oh, there it is. It's actually called Killer Blade. Okay. So we actually got to show that off. Very interesting to see that move make a return, since it was pretty obscure, I think. But yeah, he did go for it since he was out of TP. And now this guy also has some pretty interesting moves. He actually has Gunshot and Dark Tornado. He has Dark Tornado at level 2 and level 1, and then at level 3 he has Gunshot, which is basically a normal version of Doom Spear. Pretty cool how they put in these variations. Okay, and Neil is out of TP. It's good to notice in time, because then we can switch him out for someone more useful. So, let's do that right away. Who shall we put in? I do think in the interest of filling up the blue bars, I'll put in Zine. And then we are good to continue, I do believe. Yeah, everyone... Shadow, I might switch out Shadow, actually. Do we have a spare defender? I suppose, yeah, we'll put Wits in the midfield, and then we'll put Rusty back in the defense, and then Hawkins is going in the center defense to block with Shinkuma if need be. Alright. Pretty happy with our team composition. It's a pretty flexible team so far. And I do think that is also in part due to me switching out some redundant players. Well, I say redundant, but no character is really redundant in the grand scheme of things. Because you can always find a use for certain characters, and I'm somehow failed to acknowledge that Sanford is also almost out of TP. But this is good. We barely managed to avoid his fighting tackle by Torres. And this will hopefully be the 3... Oh, nope, because he does have an energy ring. Okay, and he is going to stop that. Yeah, Steve is... I don't know if he's holding up quite well. I have enjoyed using him so far, especially now that I realize he shares a voice actor with the Great Ace Attorney's protagonist, but I don't know for how long he will stay relevant in his current state. We might have to invest in his kick somewhat, because that's realistically all he has to offer. He doesn't have a dribble move or a steal move like Max. Yeah, just some thoughts. Okay, and Kevin actually scores, alright. Nice. I don't really know what element Big Spider is. I always thought it was wind, and I desperately need to switch, because now Kevin doesn't have TP, so here's what we call a gamer move. We're going to deliberately kick the ball out of the field, so that we can switch out some characters. We need to get our reserve kickers in here, so you know what, Whittingale and Afrodi are coming back after all. We're back to the regular composition, boys. No, but that's realistically what you're going to see in most teams, because the forwards are taking the most pressure, as it were, because they do need to keep up the pressure against the enemy keeper. So they have to keep pelting him with shots, and that does get quite costly, especially when you have expensive moves like Kevin does. And let's see what we can do. Bobby does have Volcano Kick in this incarnation, so I don't want to get too close, ideally. I'll actually pull back a bit. Yeah. Alright. Not the ideal dribble, but it is what it is. I'm kind of happy we can pull off this move so many times, because yeah, it really is one of my favorite kicking moves. And here's Killer Blade again. Not going to stop us this time. So that is 4-0. Yeah, once you whittle this keeper down, once you get him down to like a low level of TP, he really isn't that much of a threat. Which is also why I find it kind of intriguing why the AI never switches. Because that's a problem you see recurring in many keepers, as it happens, that they lose TP very quickly. And that once they lose TP, they're practically useless. He might even be able to score with wits. Probably not, because I did pick up on him having an energy ring again. Yeah, there it is. Alright. Not too much of an issue, because this does get rid of his ring, so that we can get back to scoring real goals. Now... Alright. Massive gap in the defense. Somehow, literally, where is my defense? Oh, and I really like Keats in this team. When he shoots and when he tries to stop someone. No, it's especially when he shoots, I think. Big surprise! It's just funny. It's funny when Japanese people try to do an impression of American people, you know, because you'll see they're acting very extravagantly and just saying things like, "Let's party!" Which is the exact thing Keats is, by the way. And yeah, that's about what I expected. We are still lacking a bit in the speed department. Sadly, we weren't able to outrun Bobby there. That is quite alright, because nothing came of it. My boy Hawkins! Finally able to use him to full effect. I do want to invest in him in the long run, because I do want to up his defense stat a bit. And, okay, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to actually try and switch to Steve. So we are going to play the ball out of the field to get rid of our fired up status. Now that's one thing I find annoying about this game's mechanics. When one of your characters is locked onto a stray ball, you can't switch to a different player, which I would have liked to do in the scenario you saw just now. I would have liked to switch to whoever it was, I believe it was Steve, who was completely open, instead of Knight, who was chasing after the ball recklessly. Like, Steve could have got there quicker, but I just wasn't able to untarget the ball, I suppose, with Knight. Just one of the little things I find annoying about this game. What I also find annoying is that they decided to fire up again. And it is a very unfortunate position to be in. Well, this might not be too bad. I think King is able to stop this. Possibly. Even though Robingo is quite strong as a forward. But I believe in King. I have faith in the King of Keepers. Misplaced. Oh, that stings. Okay. Well, it is what it is. I didn't expect to go completely scot-free against this team. Because, well, they're not the International Allstars for nothing. They did literally handpick the strongest characters from each team and put them on one singular team. So it doesn't surprise me we got a goal scored against us, though it is always a little disappointing, I do have to admit. But we'll just score one in return, to make us feel a little better about ourselves. We could have achieved the 5-0, if not for that unfortunate lack in our defense. I might have to look into a different formation for our team, because I notice there is quite often a gap in the middle, ironically. But yeah, for the time being we'll just focus, that's the word I was looking for, on rounding off this match with a relatively clean slate. Weren't able to show off the new forwards level 3 move, but that is quite alright. And that was the International All-Stars. Perhaps not too much of a challenge, but that just means we've been keeping up okay, we've been making our team as strong as we can. And yeah, we should be happy with this result. At least I'm happy with the result. I'm always happy to pass a pretty strong team, to beat them out, and to get a lot of points, obviously. 530, that's very good. And some of our characters also leveled up their bars, look at that. You could have used that A-rank catch very well against Samba Strike just now, but unfortunate timing, unfortunate timing. Nathan, a speed, which is very good, he is getting by alright. So he has access to a guard, a kick, and S speed, which is excellent in my book. And then Zine has some secret stats. I imagine it must be kick, because he does have access to S rank kick, but yeah, that is something we cannot see by virtue of the game's mechanics. Alright, International All-Stars over and done with, so let's see what becomes available to us on the world map. Edgar has been beaten, definitively, so now there should be a new team opening up for us. I can't quite say... Ooh, that is a lot of things. Now these are, presumably, kits from the various international teams that we can now purchase. And there we go, that is a new team. We get access to Nelly! Let's go! Finally! I love Nelly. My favorite manager in Inazuma 11. Finally, I can put her as the manager. We can switch out Jade after so long. The best manager, period. Okay, but it looks like we don't quite get access to the final team yet and to this final manager and or coach. We still have one more team to face over at the volcano there, which most of you might have picked up who that is. I want to say an otherworldly team, the Dark Angels. Oh, I do love these guys, especially Destra. But we're not going to face them in this episode, obviously. We are going to save that for next episode. And then I just noticed there's 2 Nellies on this map. Excellent decision making by level 5 on this one. But yeah, we are going to leave the Dark Angels for next episode, and then the episode after will probably be the girls team. Or perhaps we'll first complete the story arc and beat the final team if we even get access to that in the first place. But yeah, for now, we are going to go back to the club room. We're going to keep chilling with Nelly here. And yeah, we're going to round off the episode with one more recruitment. There we go. I believe that said we can now put Nelly as our manager, which I will all too happily do. Which one was it again? I believe it was the last. No, that is not the correct button. Okay. No, because we have to go to our team and then it's the last button. There we go. Okay, we're actually missing out on 4 more coaches, but we have all the managers. Nelly was the last one we needed to unlock. And boy, what an unlock it was. But then, recruitment. We are actually going to move over to the International Allstars. We're going to check them out. I did want to pick up on Aphrodite naturally, because he is... Oh, actually... I just noticed this version of Aphrodite doesn't get access to S-Kick, which is quite interesting. His Zeus version does get access to that, but I suppose it must be because he's a midfielder in this incarnation. That is still fine, because with this version of Aphrodite we can actually unlock another co-op move, but we'd also need Torch or Beacons technically for that. I'm of course talking about Chaos Break, the legendary move of Fire Dragon. But yeah, unless we pick up on Torch/Beacons, we will not have access to that. But anyway, moving on to the actual recruitment, we have another request by RXR who wants to pick up on Edgar Partinus, or Valentinas, I believe in Japanese. I can very much get behind this, because the Queen's Knights, pretty cool team, I think is definitely in my, I want to say top 3 of international teams, not just because of my particular affinity for the British culture and the United Kingdom in general, but also because I just really like this guy for no particular reason. I think his voice is cool. This design is also pretty cool. Someone told me he looks like, what is it again, Pegasus from Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something? I don't see it. But anyway, we're picking up on him. And considering we are switching out this version of Aphrodite next match anyway, I am going to replace him for Partinus for now. Any new moves? No, he has Paladin Strike and Excalibur, obviously, which I am very eager to use. Pretty cool moves. But yeah, I believe that should be it for this episode. I am going to try to grind out our players to get access to Supernova, Dark Phoenix, and ideally Space Penguin as well. It is going to take quite some effort, but I think I can do it. And then at the same time I'm going to grind out some points to pick up on the International All-Stars version of Aphrodite and on the Kirkwood version of Mr. Knight down here. With that being said, thank you very much if you watched up to this point. It has, as always, been a pleasure to provide for you. And if you have any more recommendations for players to recruit for this team, do not hesitate to let me know by way of a comment. And I suppose with that being said, I have once again exhausted my topics, so I'm going to bid you farewell for this episode. Thank you once more, and I'll see you all in the next episode where we face the Dark Angels. Goodbye.